We've told him he's got monsters in his head that we need to get out, and he's willing to do whatever it takes.
7-year-old Buddy doesn't understand that he has cancer, but he's been fighting for his life since he fell on the playground in January.
It's something you don't ever want to.
3 weeks ago, a series of tests led to the diagnosis of DIPG, a rare, inoperable brain tumor.
It's the worst 4-letter word I've ever heard in my life.
The only treatment appears to be radiation, which Buddy started Thursday.
It'll stop the symptoms of his equilibrium being off. It'll hopefully correct his eyesight for a few months, and then we also know that after a few months that typically the tumor tends to grow again.
Buddy's dad tells me if that happens, they'll turn to out-of-state clinical trials, which aren't covered by insurance.
He's scared, I know, and he's frightened, and he's unsure, but he knows mom and dad are there, and he knows that, we're not going to let anybody hurt him, and we're going to make sure he's taken care of.
And so is his community. They've raised more than $35,000 through a GoFundMe page and have a number of fundraisers already set up for him.
And we'll focus on taking care of your financial needs, your dinners, your whatever it takes to help get you through it.
And whatever money they have left over will be going to DIPG research.
It's so rare that there's not enough funding to really find a cure. The option of losing him is not anything that we talk about. It's not an option. It is truly a blessing to have that hope, because we never thought we'd have it, and we have it now.
The brain tumor known as DIPG, they were told would kill their son Buddy within 6 to 9 months, has dramatically shrunk.
We were absolutely given no hope when we left the hospital. It was go home, make memories, and enjoy the time you have.
They tried radiation here in the U.S., but it wasn't working. So these past 14 months, 8-year-old Buddy has been undergoing experimental intra-arteria treatment in Monterrey, Mexico.
When it's a matter of life or not, we have no choice, and we'll go, and we'll continue to go.
Buddy's most recent scans showed just a small green dot of a tumor left, giving him a score of 2.7, just 0.7 away from no evidence of disease.
We give thanks every day to the good Lord above and to all our supporters, and we hug him a little tighter every day, and we're going to continue to do that.
The Millers say the community support is what's making this good news possible, because each treatment has to be paid for out of pocket.
At these costs, we have to rely on a lot of people and a lot of love and support, and without it we wouldn't be here.
The success is giving hope not only to Buddy's family, but to every other parent who was given the same 6 to 9 months with their child as they reach out to the Millers asking for help.
If I can give them a little bit of hope, to help them a little bit, and that's what they're leaning to us for. That is the one thing that Buddy is providing for so many.
Ann Perrette, ABC 12 News.
A community effort and endless support, all for 9-year-old Braden Miller, also known as Buddy.
I was amazed at how everyone was willing to do whatever necessary to help this family.
Buddy died early Friday morning from a rare brain tumor called DIPG. There's no approved treatment for this form of cancer in the United States. He traveled to Mexico at least 10 times to undergo treatment.
They've had many expenses due to taking him to Mexico multiple times for treatment. And now, unfortunately, they're going to have to pay for a funeral.
That's why the community held a fundraiser on Saturday for Buddy. Local vendors set up shop at New Lothrop Elementary School. All money received will be given to the family to help with Buddy's funeral expenses.
It's kind of a two-in-one, where we get to support local vendors and local businesses, and we also get to support Buddy.
People say although it's been a long road for the Miller family, the community has always been there to hold the family up.
I have loved watching everybody rally around this little boy.
As Buddy is laid to rest, some say they will never forget his sweet smile, and they say now the family can be at peace.
Our hearts really go out to the Miller family. We're thinking of them and praying for them and just loving on them, and we're just sad to have lost Buddy.
Buddy's funeral is next Wednesday at the Swartz Funeral Home on Hill Road. In Flint, Winnie Dortch, ABC 12 News.
And Braden Buddy Miller has an incredible community fighting alongside him. They've been raising money any way they can. 16 months later, they're now turning to lawmakers for help. The Millers soak up every smiling moment they get with their little boy.
He wants to be a normal 9-year-old boy. He wants to run and jump and play, and right now he can't, and it's been tough to watch.
Buddy should be sitting in a 3rd grade classroom. He should be playing his favorite sport, football. But instead, the 9-year-old has spent the last 16 months fighting for his life.
Every day truly is a struggle.
In January 2017, at just 7 years old, Buddy fell and hit his head on the playground. He was rushed to the hospital. After a series of tests and a helicopter ride to U of M Hospital in Ann Arbor, Buddy was diagnosed with a rare inoperable brain tumor, DIPG.
It was not maybe, not possibly, not, it was, here's what you got. Don't hope for anything else. You know, just take your time and do what you can with it.
Brad and Jenny Miller were given 6 to 9 months with their boy.
I mean, we just looked at each other and we're like, no, absolutely not.
We serve a great God that I know can do more things than we'll ever understand.
There's no approved treatment for the pediatric brain cancer in the United States.
FDA regulates this so much. Like right now, there are current trials, but they start with a safety trial, which means, okay, we're going to try this drug, but we're only going to give them very little to see if it works, or to see if the child gets sick.
So the Millers began researching how to keep their son alive.
He will ask us if he's going to be okay, if he's going to get better, and every time we say yes. We'll do whatever we have to do to get you better. You will be better.
And they have. The Millers found an experimental treatment option in Monterrey, Mexico in early 2017. 16 months later, it's helped their son push past the life sentence he was given.
He goes for an MRI. Directly after the MRI is the treatment. It's usually about a 2.5 hour span.
They take a catheter and they run that catheter all the way from his groin up through the spine and into the tumor itself. And then this medicine will follow it up. And then they use 10 to 12 different types of medicine.
Over the past 16 months, the Millers have traveled to Mexico 10 times for the intra-arterial and immunotherapy treatments. In March, this was their result, just a small green dot of a tumor left, giving him a score of 2.7. 2.0 is no evidence of disease. But the latest trip 2 weeks ago showed the tumor has started growing again.
Say the days are long and the nights are longer.
Yeah. 2, 3, 4 in the morning, your brain just don't stop.
As if the stress of trying to save their child's life isn't enough, the financial cost of each treatment is between $17,000 and $30,000, and it has to be paid out of pocket.
It boils down to a dollar bill of whether we have him with us or not.
Oh, it's expensive, and it's worth every dime.
Family, friends, and the entire Flushing and New Lothrop communities quickly stepped up, frequently holding fundraisers for Buddy, whether it's a bowling night, an auction, or a restaurant, giving away some of their proceeds for the day.
And they have single-handedly helped us raise hundreds of thousands of dollars, and without them, we wouldn't be anywhere near where we're at. So it's just, I can't say thank you enough.
According to the National Pediatric Cancer Foundation, pediatric cancer only receives 4% of the federal government's cancer research funding. Jenny says DIPG gets about 1% of that.
So instead, we just lose, 300 to 400 children a year due to this disease.
So that's where Jenny's dad, Buddy's grandpa, Patrick McDonald, comes in. Yes, this is his business card.
Quite frankly, I just retired after 42 years. I was a businessman, and this is kind of my new job, though. So I spend some time during the week, making calls on these people and trying to develop that advocacy.
Right now, he says the majority of funding is coming from family foundations who have lost their children to DIPG. McDonald is working to change that.
There's a point where the federal government and the medical industry has to step up and put a full court press on research for DIPG patients.
To get the ball rolling, McDonald is lobbying local lawmakers in Lansing. Governor Rick Snyder has named Thursday, May 17th, DIPG Awareness Day in Michigan. To mark the day, Buddy's family will be going to the Capitol. So far, with the help of Genesee County Clerk John Gleason, they have plans to meet with 2 representatives and a senator on both sides of the aisle.
You need a celebrity. You know, Pope John Paul II and Michael J. Fox elevated the discussion and funding for Parkinson's. Lloyd Carr's grandson died of the same disease a few years ago. And that elevated the discussion. It's almost disgraceful when you figure you need a renowned individual to suffer from this or other issues to bring light to the issue and the funding.
The Millers will be asking lawmakers for DIPG to become a vanity license plate option, like these just approved in Ohio. Plus, McDonald says some states allow people to make a contribution to the research when you renew your plate or file your income tax.
And if we do have that funding available, there are agencies that would project manage that process and just bring a different level of care that would be available to these children.
Care that wouldn't force children like Buddy to continue to travel to Mexico every 3 to 4 weeks, and would give hope to the 200 to 400 children who are expected to be diagnosed with DIPG every year.
We do our best and stay positive and stay firm in our faith that he will be okay. He will be a spokesperson. This is not going to go away. The only thing we can do is work to find something to help it, cure it, treat it effectively here in the United States, hopefully, and we are committed.
While they work for more funding, there is hope from federal lawmakers. President Trump is pushing to bring experimental treatment to the U.S. In March, the House passed a right to try bill in favor of it. The legislation now goes to the Senate for a vote. For more information on how to join Team Buddy next week, click on this story on our website. In the studio, I'm Ann Perrette, ABC 12 News. Governor Rick Snyder has declared today DIPG Awareness Day in Michigan. The Miller family and several members of Team Buddy were here as the resolution was read on the House floor.
There's no real treatments that have been found effective across the board in the United States right now.
Representative Phil Phelps marks the day by telling his colleagues about the rare inoperable brain tumor, DIPG, that 200 to 400 children a year will be diagnosed with. Pushing for awareness and advocacy, he then introduced the House to the 9-year-old from Flushing and his family.
We recognize their efforts and thank them for keeping up the fight for us.
The fight for funding and their son's life.
We need to come alongside these families to offer our care and comfort, certainly as a community, but also advocacy for private and state funding toward research to really attack this awful condition that is stealing children at a young age from families.
Representative Ben Frederick is one of 5 lawmakers Buddy's family met with in Lansing today.
It's helping a lot because the more we speak, people know that they're at least aware. And again, awareness brings that advocacy, and that's what we're after.
Buddy's grandpa, Patrick McDonald, says Representative Phelps has agreed to submit a bill that would allow for DIPG vanity license plates like these in Ohio. And another lawmaker is looking into the option of making a contribution to DIPG research when you renew your plate or file your income tax.
It's working, so we're going to keep up and keep on keeping on.
If you'd like to continue following Team Buddy's fight, click on this story on our website. In Lansing, I'm Ann Perrette, ABC 12 News.
A fitting farewell for a 9-year-old who inspired thousands. New Lothrop's Braden Miller, best known as Buddy, passed away on Friday from an inoperable brain tumor known as DIPG.
His fight began in January 2017 and lasted much longer than anyone expected, and his family credits Team Buddy Boy with making that fight possible.
They do. Buddy's dad thanked the hundreds who came to say see you later to Buddy today, making it clear their prayers and financial donations are what gave them more time with their son.
This wasn't a day that we were hoping would come this soon. We were wanting to push it out, and I think through prayer we pushed that day out a long way. We did.
There wasn't a room big enough for the hundreds whose lives Buddy Miller touched. Through the sea of traditional funeral black, bright pockets of neon green popped out, Buddy's favorite color.
He impacted a lot of people, you know, before and I'm hoping after.
At just 7 years old, Buddy was diagnosed with an inoperable brain tumor, DIPG. The doctors gave him 6 to 9 months to live, but Buddy's family and friends would help the now 4th grader survive for 21 months. Midge Gooch was one of the first to step up and join Team Buddy Boy.
I think it brought us all together, and that's a great thing, you know. The Flushing community where they grew up and Lothrop where they live now.
Countless fundraisers raised tens of thousands of dollars for doctor bills and trips to Mexico for experimental treatment, many of those planned by Buddy's school community in New Lothrop.
Our students, they wanted to, from our volleyball, softball, football, basketball teams, they want to support this family. And so, no, I've never seen anything like this.
Superintendent Anthony Berthume canceled school today so everyone could be there for Buddy's older sisters and family.
I think we can all take a lesson from Buddy and his family in regards to keeping positive through all the tough times that you may be going through.
Buddy's family tells me they're not giving up their fight against DIPG. They've already been helping other parents who got the same horrific diagnosis, and U of M now has Buddy's tumor as the search for a cure continues. Terry.
Thousands of New Lothrop fans filled the stands at Ford Field Saturday morning for the state championship game. But even with all those people to cheer on the Hornets, one small voice was noticeably missing.
He's been kind of a driving inspiration for us, obviously, you know, throughout the playoffs.
Braden Miller, known by most as Buddy, passed away last month at the age of 9 after a long battle with a rare illness. And his loss is being felt around the community as well as on the gridiron.
It was an emotional time for us when that all went down here towards the end of the regular season. He was pretty close. I mean, my son's here with me now. It was his best friend.
During the playoffs, the Hornets wore lime green socks, Buddy's favorite color, with his name across them. And even though Buddy couldn't be there to cheer on his favorite team, he was still there in spirit.
Even throughout the game, found myself looking up and saying, man, Buddy, we can use you here. I really was.
Hornets head coach Clint Galvis says their playoff run has meant a lot to the community, and a big thanks goes to Buddy.
We just really kind of embraced him as our inspiration. And obviously when he passed, it was a big healing process. And I really, believe our football team did a huge service to help heal.
And just like Buddy, the Hornets kept fighting on Saturday right until the clock hit 0. In Detroit, Andy Shambo, ABC 12 News.
It's been tough. It's been tough waking up. It's been tough going to bed.
His youngest child, only son, taken by an inoperable brain tumor. After 21 long, hard-fought months, Buddy pushed through 4 days at home to be there for his dad, Brad Miller's birthday.
When he took his last breath, we were all here to tell him we love you and we'll see you later, and it was really special. So, but yeah, the birthday thing was something that will be a special thing for me for forever.
At just 7 years old, Buddy was diagnosed with DIPG. Doctors gave him 6 to 9 months to live, but he surpassed the odds with the help of experimental treatments and what became Team Buddy Boy.
You know, the money's one thing, but the phone calls, the emails, the Facebook, social media messages, we're with you. Do you need anything?
The sea of green out there at Sharp Funeral Home, and it just brought a lot of peace as well. And you looked around and said, yeah, Braden, you did it again.
The group that's thousands strong hasn't left their side, and the Millers hope they'll continue to be there as they work to help others in Buddy's honor with the newly formed Team Buddy Boy Forever Foundation.
A lot of it is really madness, so you really need all the help you can get, and we'll be able to do that. Not only helping those families, but also research.
We promised him we would do what Buddy loved to do, and that was help other people.
Since the playoffs last year, the new Lothrop Hornets football team has made a few very noticeable additions to their uniforms.
When we have our socks on and we have our helmets on, right when we put the helmets on, we know we're playing for Buddy.
Buddy Miller, a kid who loved football. But at just 7 years old, he was diagnosed with the inoperable brain tumor, DIPG.
He was just always happy, upbeat, and it was just a great thing to see, especially at all the football games. He was always out there after we were walking off the field.
After a courageous battle, Buddy passed away October 19th, 2018. That night, the Hornets lost their first game that season. They've won every game since.
I think it was kind of one of those things where, adversity can tear a community apart or it can build it together. And I think we took it well and kind of bounced back and learned from it.
Even just being a little football team, the power that we have and the things that we can do together.
Coach Clint Galvis says his boys are now just 3 games away from winning the state title again this year, a feat they're accomplishing with Buddy on their minds.
Whenever I'm tired or, feeling like I'm close to my breaking point, I always think he never gave up, Buddy never gave up. So that's kind of what pushes me to go further and not give up.
I mean, if he can do it, we got to do it for him.
A comfort and joy Buddy's parents are grateful for as they continue to grieve the unthinkable loss of their young son.
They do it because they have a heart of gold. When we first seen the Buddy socks on the boys, it was a feeling of joy, of hope, and of honor of really what this team has meant to us and really what Buddy's meant to them.
Buddy's dad says the team has also helped raise money for the Team Buddy Forever Foundation, and his 5th grade team even retired his number. In New Lothrop, Ann Perrette, ABC 12 News.
It's a story we've followed since the young boy's diagnosis.
Get rid of it. Take it. Do whatever you want.
ABC 12's Ann Perrette shows you how research on the tumor that took Buddy's life is turning a year of loss into a future of hope. Thursday at 11 on ABC 12 News.
It has been 1 year since Braden Buddy Miller died after a brave battle that touched all of our hearts.
We first told you about the New Lothrop 9-year-old when he was diagnosed with cancer in January 2017.
And Perrette shows us how his family has turned this year of loss into a future of hope.
Love your mama.
We love that face and we miss that face, and until we see that face again, we want to see it as much as we possibly can.
Looking around the Millers' home in the years since Buddy passed, he's noticeably absent, but his spirit is not. Lime green was one of Buddy's favorite colors, and it's what unified and helped you identify his many supporters.
Yeah, it's hard to go on some days knowing that he's not there with you, but we find a way, and through faith and through the foundation and through the love of Buddy and the love of family, we get through it.
Buddy's dad, Brad Miller, sat down with me in February 2017 to share the horrific diagnosis.
We've told him he's got monsters in his head that we need to get out, and he's willing to do whatever it takes.
The brain tumor known as DIPG was latched onto his brainstem, and there was no safe way to remove it. Brad and Jenny Miller were given 6 to 9 months with their then 7-year-old son.
To know something's in somebody that you love, that there's nothing anybody can do to fix it.
Really, we have one proven therapy, and that's radiation.
Dr. Carl Koshman is a pediatric neuro-oncologist at C.S. Mott Children's Hospital in Ann Arbor. He took care of Buddy during his 21-month fight against those monsters in his head.
You'd think he wouldn't be paying attention, and then he would crack some joke that you'd be like, well, that's hilarious, and just a really sweet kid.
It was, I think, 7 days before Buddy went to heaven. We were at U of M, and he gave him a hug, and Jenny and I were talking, and we heard crying, and we thought it was Buddy, and it was Dr. K as he was saying goodbye to Buddy.
As Buddy's family says it, the 9-year-old won his fight on October 19th, 2018.
We know he's healed, he's healthy, and he's waiting for us. The ones that lose are us, because we're here without Buddy and the love that he brought us.
Buddy's tumor was removed just a few days after he passed.
Can you see anything?
And given to Dr. Koshman to push forward in his efforts to find a cure.
We knew when Buddy's gone, if there's anything left that will help the next poor child or family to go through it, it was not even a question that we had to help in that way too. Plus, we just wanted that tumor out of his head.
We know how it looked when we biopsied at the beginning. How did it change over time? And then we also take cells and immediately put them into culture and grow them and continue to learn from the cells. The Buddy's tumor cells are still growing in our incubators.
Some of those cells have also been sent to a lab in Germany. And Dr. Koshman says they've already learned a lot because Buddy's tumor has mutations in 2 genes commonly found in DIPG. One of those is called PDGFRA, which he says has responded well to a drug for leukemia. Their struggle has been how to get that drug into the brain.
And before we had Buddy's cells, we didn't have samples from a patient with DIPG with that alteration to be able to model. And so what we'd like to do is what we learned from his tumor to really bring that back to the clinic for the next patients who have that PDGFRA alteration.
Hope for healing and an eventual cure.
Brad and Jennifer made the ultimate contribution towards research.
Buddy's grandpa, Patrick McDonald, helps run the nonprofit Team Buddy Forever Foundation. They raise funds for research and to provide financial help for other DIPG families in his grandson's honor.
At some point, when a child is diagnosed with DIPG, the doctor will be able to say, this is what you exactly will do. This is the comprehensive care path plan that is now available in the U.S.
It's the unthinkable sacrifice from their family and many others helping doctors get there.
We want to cure fast, and we're going to give, whatever we can to help do that.
Ann Perrette, ABC 12 News.
Dr. Koshman's research will be published in papers and shared around the world.
He says because so little has been done, researchers are very well connected as they work for a cure. According to the National Pediatric Cancer Foundation, pediatric cancer only receives 4% of the federal government's research funding, and DIPG gets only 1% of that.
To learn other ways the Team Buddy Forever Foundation is supporting families dealing with the fight they know all too well, just click on this story on our website. JR?
Great story, and thank you to the Millers for their forward thinking. That's an awesome piece.
The foundation was created in 2018 after Buddy Miller passed away from an inoperable brain tumor. The 9-year-old's mom, Jenny Miller, says throughout his nearly 2 years of cancer treatment, he was never worried about himself.
Can I buy this for somebody, or can I give this money to the animal shelter? It was just, nothing was ever about him, and it was just really incredible. And he was really like that his whole entire life.
Miller says that's encouraged her to ask others to do the same. She took to Facebook this week to challenge kids across mid-Michigan to do one good deed.
There's just so many wonderful, positive things that you can do, and the joy of having the time with your children is just obviously priceless, especially to people like myself.
Miller got emotional talking about the acts of what she calls buddy love shared on the Facebook page. These 3 New Lothrop boys cleaned up trash around their community. This young girl made masks for her aunt, who works in healthcare, and Buddy's sisters ordered lunch for nurses at Hurley Medical Center in Flint.
It's been absolutely incredible, and each message is so bittersweet, as so much of all of our life is. We love to hear it, and it warms our heart that he's touched so many and that he's done so many wonderful things. Yet it's still very difficult.
If you'd like to participate, you can find a link to the Team Buddy Forever Foundation Facebook page on this story on our website. I'm Ann Perrette, ABC 12 News.
Buddy was special to them, and now they continue to lift us and lift Buddy, and Buddy helps them, I believe.
The relationship between a 9-year-old New Lothrop boy and his hometown football team is indescribable, and it grew this past weekend.
Braden Buddy Miller passed away in October 2018 from an inoperable brain tumor. More than 2 years later, the football team he dreamed to play for continues to play for him.
The New Lothrop Hornets took home the championship trophy for the second time in 3 years this weekend. And as our Ann Perrette shares, they have proof their guardian angel was with them every minute of the game.
Buddy has made it known that he's still part of the team. So, and that just warms our heart more than more than I can tell you.
3 years ago this month, doctors diagnosed Brad and Jenny Miller's son, Buddy, with DIPG, an inoperable brain tumor. Immediately, their whole new Lothrop community stepped up to help his family deal with their devastating new reality, including Buddy's idols, the high school football team. But that love and support goes both ways.
He's been the center of many talking points, of many pregame speeches about just his fight, and a lot of times I get choked up, even, when I talk about it. But these guys know what kind of kid he was and what kind of fighter he was. And
head football coach Clint Galvis's son was Buddy's best friend. The 9-year-old's impact on the team is clear. The Hornets' first incredible championship run happened in 2018. They only lost one regular season game that year, the day Buddy died. A few days later, the whole team showed up in their uniforms to Buddy's funeral. Buddy matched them. He was buried in his new Lothrop football jersey.
Buddy will always be a part of my family and our football family.
Every year, the team dedicates a game to Buddy to help raise money for DIPG research. And at this weekend's championship game, Coach Galvis and his son wore their signature Green Buddy socks to make sure his presence was known. And it was. Not only did the Hornets beat Traverse City St. Francis, the team they lost to the day Buddy died, they also scored the touchdown that would win the game at 12:37, the exact time Buddy passed away.
I mean, I get chills and just talking about that. It's awesome because he's just doing little things to let you know he's there and he's watching, and I know he's always pulling for us.
On their way back into town celebrating their win, the team bus made a special stop at the Millers to share the championship trophy.
To see that parade of fire trucks and the bus stop in front of our house.
Ann Perrette, ABC 12 News.
Buddy's still with that team.